tab hunter, and I've got a secret.
Italian people in Jersey found out that Marlon Brando is gay.
The golden age of Hollywood, with its glamour and glitz, also harbored some of the most closely guarded secrets of its stars.
We were ordered never to have our picture taken together because somebody would know that we were gay.
Beneath the polished facades, rumors swirled about the personal lives of many iconic figures. Could these whispered stories be true?
Because you're going to die when I tell you this.
Uh-oh.
He banged everybody.
He fucked everybody.
Yeah. And then it came out he was banging the guy with the big dick in Cuba.
Let's dive into some of Hollywood's most intriguing stars.
Oh, great. Kiss me. Can't hear.
Number 1. James Dean. James Dean, the quintessential rebel, wasn't just known for his brooding on-screen persona in Rebel Without a Cause, but also for his off-screen complexities. Dean's close friendships with other men, especially in an era when such relationships were scrutinized, have long fueled speculation about his sexuality. Dean himself was famously quoted as saying, "No, I am not a homo, but I'm also not going to go through life with one hand tied behind my back." This cryptic statement left many wondering if he was alluding to fluidity in his romantic preferences. Some of his most relationships were rumored to have been with men, including actor Sal Mineo, who was his co-star in Rebel Without a Cause. Mineo later came out as adding more to the speculation. Dean's enigmatic nature made it hard to pin down his personal life. He had several well-publicized romances with women, including Italian actress Pier Angeli, but those close to him have alluded to relationships that defied the norms of the time. Could Dean have been ahead of his time, living a life unconstrained by traditional labels? Dean's untimely death at just 24 left many questions unanswered. However, his allure as a cultural icon remains, as do the mysteries surrounding his private life. His rebellious image still captivates, leaving many wondering about the man behind the myth. Number 2. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando was one of Hollywood's most celebrated actors, known for his powerful performances in films like A Streetcar Named Desire and The Godfather. But Brando's personal life was just as captivating as his on-screen roles. His sexuality was something he openly acknowledged in a time when it was taboo. In a 1976 interview, Brando said, "Like a large number of men, I too have had experiences, and I am not ashamed." For Brando, these experiences were part of his broad view on life and sexuality. He didn't feel confined by labels and embraced his feelings for both men and women, which was revolutionary for a major Hollywood star of his era. Brando's relationships with men were rumored to include famous names like James Dean and composer Leonard Bernstein. His relaxed attitude toward relationships was a stark contrast to the rigid norms of the 1950s and 1960s. He viewed love and attraction as something fluid, not limited by societal expectations. Despite his progressive stance on sexuality, Brando had many high-profile relationships with women, marrying 3 times and fathering 11 children. His openness about his sexuality didn't diminish his star power, but it did make him a fascinating figure in a period when most actors hid behind the industry's moral expectations. Number 3. Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson was the epitome of the all-American leading man in Hollywood, starring in films like Giant and Pillow Talk. His rugged good looks and charm made him a heartthrob, but Hudson's personal life was far removed from the image he portrayed on screen. Behind closed doors, Hudson was a gay man in an era where being openly gay could end a Hollywood career. Hudson's sexuality was an open secret among Hollywood insiders. His studio, Universal Pictures, went to great lengths to maintain his image as a ladies' man, even arranging a brief marriage to Phyllis Gates, his agent's secretary. This marriage was widely believed to be a sham, aimed at deflecting rumors about his sexuality. Gates later claimed she had no knowledge of Hudson's homosexuality during their relationship, though many believe she was part of the industry's effort to shield his image. Despite his carefully curated public persona, Hudson led a private life filled with secret relationships with men. It wasn't until the 1980s, when Hudson became one of the first public figures to die from complications related to AIDS, that his sexuality became widely known. His death not only shocked fans, but also helped raise awareness of the AIDS crisis, making him an unlikely but important figure in the LGBTQ+ movement. Number 4. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift, known for his intense performances in films like A Place in the Sun and From Here to Eternity, was a trailblazer in method acting. Behind his brooding looks and serious demeanor, Clift led a deeply complicated personal life, shrouded in secrecy and internal conflict about his sexuality. Clift's relationships with men were known to his closest friends, but like many stars in the 1950s, he lived in constant fear of being outed. He was kept a closely guarded secret by Hollywood insiders, and he was often paired with female co-stars in public to maintain his image. Clift never married, and despite having close friendships with women like Elizabeth Taylor who adored him, he was widely believed to be. Clift's struggles with self-acceptance led to a life of emotional turmoil. His battle with alcohol and prescription drug addiction worsened after a near-fatal car accident in 1956 that left his face disfigured. Many believe this traumatic event intensified his self-destructive tendencies, exacerbating the inner conflict he felt about his identity. Number 5. Cary Grant. Cary Grant was the embodiment of suave sophistication in Hollywood, with a career spanning classic films like North by Northwest and His Girl Friday. His debonair persona made him a household name, but rumors about his world throughout his life. Was the Hollywood heartthrob hiding a secret behind that charming smile? Grant's private life raised eyebrows, particularly due to his close, long-term relationship with fellow actor Randolph Scott. The two lived together for over a decade, and photos of them lounging at their shared Malibu beach house were enough to fuel gossip. Though some dismissed the relationship as a close friendship, many believed there was more to their bond. Grant was married 5 times, though none of his marriages seemed to last. His first wife, actress Virginia Cherrill, once claimed Grant had been abusive, but later in life, Grant's daughter from his last marriage said he was a loving father and man. His marriages seemed to be attempts to counteract the rumors about his, and they did little to quell speculation. Grant himself never publicly addressed the rumors, though he was once quoted as saying, "I don't care what people think, the only opinion that matters is my own." Whether bisexual or simply uninterested in addressing the gossip, Grant's refusal to conform to the expectations placed upon him remains part of his allure. Number 6. Katherine Hepburn. Katherine Hepburn, with her sharp wit and undeniable talent, broke many molds in Hollywood, known for her strong-willed characters in films like The Philadelphia Story and Bringing Up Baby. Hepburn also challenged societal expectations off-screen. Her refusal to conform, whether it was wearing pants instead of dresses or rejecting traditional gender roles, led to speculation about her. Throughout her life, Hepburn maintained a fiercely private personal life, which only added to the intrigue. Although she was romantically linked to several men, including Howard Hughes, it was her long-lasting and deep friendship with women, especially her rumored relationship with socialite Laura Harding, that fueled gossip. Harding was a constant companion during the early stages of Hepburn's career, and their closeness raised eyebrows. Another point of speculation has been Hepburn's relationship with her longtime friend and companion, Phyllis Wilborn. Wilborn worked as Hepburn's secretary for over 40 years, and they were inseparable. While Hepburn never addressed rumors about her, these friendships, coupled with her rejection of traditional female roles, led many to believe she could have been bisexual. Number 7. Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo, the enigmatic Swedish actress, was one of Hollywood's most mysterious figures. Best known for her roles in films like Camille and Ninochka, Garbo's ethereal beauty and melancholic on-screen presence left an indelible mark on cinema. However, it was her intensely private nature that added layers to her allure. Garbo famously retreated from public life early, rarely giving interviews and living in seclusion. In her later years, this secrecy fueled speculation about her personal life, particularly her sexuality. She was rumored to have had close relationships with several women, including playwright Mercedes de Acosta. The two were said to have shared a romantic relationship, documented in letters that revealed an intimate connection. Acosta later wrote a memoir in which she alluded to their relationship, though Garbo never confirmed it. Another woman linked to Garbo was Swedish actress Mimi Pollak, her classmate at drama school. Letters between them, released years after Garbo's death, revealed that their bond ran deep, with Garbo expressing feelings for Pollak that seemed more than just friendly. Number 8. Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy, a Hollywood icon known for his roles in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and Judgment at Nuremberg, was revered for his on-screen presence and powerful performances. Off-screen, however, Tracy's personal life was marked by a long-standing affair with Katherine Hepburn, but whispers about his have persisted for decades. Tracy was married to Louise Treadwell, and though they never divorced, their relationship was distant. For much of his life, Tracy struggled with alcoholism and inner demons, which, some speculated, stemmed from conflicts surrounding his identity. His long-term affair with Hepburn became public knowledge, but what many didn't know was that Tracy had also developed deep, emotionally charged relationships with men throughout his career. There have been unconfirmed rumors that Tracy may have been bisexual, though he was never open about such matters. Some Hollywood insiders believe that his friendship with men like actor John Kerr carried undertones of intimacy, though these claims remain speculative at best. Tracy's Catholic upbringing and deeply private nature likely kept him from addressing such rumors. Number 9. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford was one of the most iconic and controversial stars of Hollywood's golden age. Known for her roles in films like Mildred Pierce and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Crawford's rise to stardom was as dramatic as the characters she played, but her personal life was equally filled with intrigue, particularly when it came to her relationships. Crawford's a point of speculation for decades. While she was married 4 times to men, there have long been rumors that Crawford was involved with women too. One of the most persistent rumors involves her alleged relationship with fellow actress Barbara Stanwyck. The two were rumored to have had a brief affair, although neither confirmed the speculation. Additionally, Crawford's name has been linked to several other women throughout her career, including Marilyn Monroe and her longtime friend, author, and screenwriter Mercedes de Acosta, who was openly bisexual. Crawford's public image was one of fierce independence and determination, traits that may have reflected her refusal to conform to traditional gender roles and expectations. In an industry that demanded women fit into particular molds, Crawford forged her own path, both personally and professionally. Whether the rumors about her sexuality are true or just Hollywood gossip, Joan Crawford's legacy as a trailblazing actress remains undeniable. Number 10. Barbara Stanwyck. Barbara Stanwyck, known for her tough, no-nonsense roles in films like Double Indemnity and Stella Dallas, was one of Hollywood's most respected actresses. With her deep, husky voice and commanding screen presence, Stanwyck was a force to be reckoned with on and off the screen. But behind the scenes, rumors about her sexuality have long persisted. Stanwyck was married twice to men, but her relationships with women were the subject of Hollywood whispers. It was widely believed that Stanwyck was, though she never publicly addressed these rumors. One of her most talked about relationships was with Joan Crawford, with whom she shared a close friendship. Some speculated that their bond went beyond mere friendship, though there is no definitive proof. Stanwyck was also linked to other women in the industry, including her personal secretary, Helen Ferguson. Stanwyck was known for her fiercely independent spirit. She was one of the few actresses in Hollywood who managed to carve out a successful career without being tied to a powerful male counterpart. This independence, along with her refusal to conform to the norms of her time, made her a fascinating figure both on and off the screen. Whether by or simply uninterested in publicizing her personal life, Barbara Stanwyck remains an icon of strength and resilience in Hollywood history. Number 11. Laurence Olivier. Laurence Olivier was a towering figure in the world of acting, renowned for his performances in films like Wuthering Heights and Hamlet. He was the epitome of classical British theater and film, known for his intense dedication to his craft. But behind the scenes, Olivier's personal life was a subject of much speculation, particularly regarding his sexuality. Olivier was married 3 times, most famously to actress Vivien Leigh, with whom he shared a tumultuous relationship. However, rumors have persisted that Olivier may have had relationships with men too. His close friendship with actor Danny Kaye sparked gossip, and some have claimed that their bond was more than just platonic. Olivier's biographers have suggested that his attraction to both men and women made him sexually fluid, though Olivier himself never addressed these rumors. In addition to Kaye, Olivier was rumored to have had other discreet relationships with men throughout his career. However, like many actors of his generation, Olivier was careful to protect his public image, and any relationships outside his marriages remained shrouded in mystery. His complex relationship with Vivien Leigh marked by her mental illness and their eventual separation, only added to the public's fascination with his private life. Number 12. Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh, most famous for her unforgettable performances in Gone with the Wind and A Streetcar Named Desire, captivated audiences with her beauty and acting talent. But Leigh's personal life was as dramatic as her on-screen characters. Married to fellow actor Laurence Olivier, their tumultuous relationship was the talk of Hollywood. However, whispers about Leigh's sexuality have also persisted, adding another layer to her already complex persona. Leigh's relationships with men were widely known, but it's her rumored relationships with women that have piqued the interest of many. While there is no concrete evidence that Leigh was involved with women, some biographers suggest that she may have been bisexual, citing her close relationships with female friends. Leigh's was never openly discussed, and given the time she lived in, it's likely that any non-heteronormative relationships would have been kept private. In addition to her complex romantic life, Leigh struggled with severe bipolar disorder, which had a profound impact on her personal relationships and career. Her mental health challenges often overshadowed other aspects of her life, including the rumors surrounding her sexuality. Whether the speculation about her relationships with women is true or not, Vivien Leigh remains a fascinating figure, one whose life was marked by immense talent, personal hardship, and enduring mystery. Number 13. Tyrone Power. Tyrone Power, the swashbuckling star of films like The Mark of Zorro and Witness for the Prosecution, was one of Hollywood's most dashing leading men. His good looks and charming persona made him a box office favorite, but Power's private life was much more complicated than his public image. Rumors about his circulated throughout Hollywood, with stories of his relationships with both men and women adding an intriguing twist to his personal life. Power was married 3 times to women, but behind the scenes, he was rumored to have had relationships with men, including his close friend and fellow actor Cesar Romero. Hollywood insiders often whispered about Power's secret relationships, though like many stars of the time, he kept these private. Power also had affairs with women, including some of his leading ladies, but the rumors of his bisexuality persisted long after his death. While Power never publicly addressed his life reflects the complexities faced by many Hollywood stars who lived in the spotlight but kept their true selves hidden. The pressure to maintain a straight image in the 1940s and 1950s, Hollywood likely forced Power to conceal aspects of his identity, just as it did for many others. Despite these challenges, Tyrone Power's legacy as one of Hollywood's most charismatic leading men endures, with his personal life adding a layer of intrigue to his already captivating persona. Number 14. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn, best known for his swashbuckling roles in films like The Adventures of Robin Hood and Captain Blood, was the quintessential Hollywood bad boy. Flynn's off-screen antics, wild parties, love affairs, and a reputation for living life to the fullest were as legendary as his performances on screen. But behind his well-publicized relationships with women, there were also rumors about his relationships with men. Flynn's larger-than-life persona made him a frequent subject of Hollywood gossip. His numerous affairs with women were well documented, and he was even put on trial for statutory rape in 1943. He was acquitted. However, rumors about Flynn's bisexuality circulated throughout Hollywood, with some suggesting that he had secret relationships with men, including actor Tyrone Power. These rumors were never confirmed, and Flynn never addressed them, but the speculation persisted. Flynn's wild lifestyle often overshadowed his immense talent as an actor. His personal life was full of scandal, from his reckless behavior to his financial troubles. It became just one more topic of gossip. Whether the rumors about his true or not, Flynn's life remains a testament to the excesses of Hollywood's golden age. His legacy as one of cinema's greatest action stars is undisputed, but the man behind the legend continues to fascinate audiences, especially as details of his private life continue to emerge over time. Number 15. Rudolph Valentino. Rudolph Valentino, the Italian heartthrob of the 1920s, was one of the most iconic and beloved stars of the silent film era. With his dark, smoldering looks and a brooding screen presence, he captivated audiences in films like The Sheik and Blood and Sand. Valentino's appeal transcended his films. He was a cultural phenomenon, a symbol of romance and mystery, but behind his glamorous public persona, there were whispers about his which have persisted long after his death at just 31. While Valentino was married twice and had numerous relationships with women, rumors about his potential have lingered. He was known to have had close emotional friendships with men, including his longtime pal and fellow actor Norman Cary. Their relationship raised eyebrows in Hollywood, though there was never any concrete evidence to support these rumors. Valentino's untimely death, combined with his immense popularity, turned him into a larger-than-life figure, and speculation about his private life only added to his mystique. His personal relationships, particularly his rumored romances with men, were often kept secret, reflecting the complex and repressive social norms of the time. His ambiguous sexual identity, combined with the mystery surrounding his life, made Valentino a figure of fascination, even decades after his passing. Whether or not Valentino was truly remains unknown, but his enduring legacy as one of early cinema's most iconic leading men remains secure. Number 16. Sal Mineo. Sal Mineo was a groundbreaking actor whose career in the 1950s and 60s saw him rise to fame for his sensitive portrayals in films like Rebel Without a Cause and Exodus. His breakout role as John Plato Crawford in Rebel earned him an Academy Award nomination at just 17, making him one of the youngest actors to receive that honor. Despite his early success, Mineo's private life was marked by struggles with his identity in an era that wasn't always kind to LGBTQ+ individuals. While Mineo's career was on the rise, whispers about his grew louder. He was known to have had relationships with women, but the rumors about his homosexuality were widespread in Hollywood. Mineo, who was known for his gentle, almost fragile screen persona, often played roles that were emotionally intense and vulnerable, leading to speculation that his real-life personality may have reflected his on-screen characters. The public's fascination with his sexuality reached a fever pitch, particularly after his tragic death in 1976, when Mineo was brutally murdered in Los Angeles. Mineo was never openly gay during his lifetime, likely due to the stigma surrounding homosexuality in Hollywood at the time. However, posthumously, many have come to view him as an early LGBTQ+ icon, someone who paved the way for others in an industry that often silenced personal truths. His untimely death, and the mysteries surrounding his private life, only added to the legacy of the talented young actor who was far too soon taken from the world. Number 17. Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins is perhaps best known for his iconic role as Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. The film and the character became deeply intertwined with his legacy, as Bates's split personality mirrored some of Perkins's own internal struggles. The actor's personal life was often overshadowed by the enigmatic roles he played, but behind the scenes, Perkins was grappling with in an industry that was notoriously hostile to openly gay individuals. Perkins was married to a woman, Barry Berenson, with whom he had 2 children, but it was his relationships with men that have become a subject of Hollywood gossip. Perkins's love life was a secretive affair, and for years, rumors swirled about his close relationship with actor Tab Hunter was the source of speculation, and many believed they shared a romantic bond, though this was never confirmed publicly. In an era when being openly gay was nearly impossible for a leading man, Perkins remained discreet about his sexual orientation, though his relationships with men have become more publicly recognized posthumously. Perkins, who was diagnosed with HIV in the 1980s, eventually succumbed to the illness in 1992. The secrecy surrounding his life, combined with the stigmatization of homosexuality in Hollywood during his prime, left a lasting impression on his career and his public persona. Number 18. Tab Hunter. Tab Hunter was the epitome of the all-American heartthrob in 1950s Hollywood with his blonde good looks and charming smile. His career soared with hits like Damn Yankees and Battle Cry, making him one of the biggest stars of the era. His boy-next-door persona, however, hid a secret that few knew at the time: his sexuality. In an industry where stars were expected to maintain a perfect heterosexual image, Hunter lived under a cloud of secrecy, especially about his private life. Hunter's early career was built on maintaining the clean-cut, wholesome image that Hollywood wanted. Behind the scenes, however, rumors about his sexuality swirled, and many in Hollywood were aware of his relationships with men. At the time, being openly gay in the entertainment industry was taboo, and Hunter was advised to keep his true self hidden. In a somewhat ironic twist, Hunter's romantic relationships with women were staged for the public in a calculated effort to preserve his image. Hunter kept his personal life out of the spotlight until later in life when, in 2005, he published his autobiography, Tab Hunter Confidential. In it, he finally came out publicly, revealing that he had been in relationships with men and acknowledging the pressures he faced to live a double life. The book offered a candid look into his struggles with fame, his sexuality, and the ways in which Hollywood molded its stars to fit a particular narrative. Hunter's story is one of resilience, living authentically at his own pace after decades of keeping his true identity hidden. Despite the challenges, Hunter remained a beloved figure in Hollywood history, known not just for his acting, but for the personal journey he undertook towards self-acceptance. Number 19, Farley Granger. Farley Granger, a striking actor with a sleek, boyish charm, was one of the leading men in 1940s Hollywood. Known for his roles in films like Rope and Strangers on a Train, Granger was frequently paired with leading ladies in romantic films, but behind the scenes, his personal life told a very different story. Farley Granger was though he kept this secret for many years, knowing how dangerous it was to be openly queer in the film industry during the golden age of Hollywood. Granger's homosexuality was widely known in certain circles, but remained hidden from the public eye. He had relationships with men, but out of fear of tarnishing his career, he never publicly acknowledged them. In his memoir, Include Me Out, Granger reflects on his love life, revealing his past relationships with other men, including actor George Nader. Despite the pressure to conform to the industry's heteronormative standards, Granger found ways to live his truth, even if it meant keeping certain aspects of his personal life under wraps. Granger's romantic life was also shaped by his relationships with women, including a brief marriage to a woman named Jean, which was likely an arrangement to maintain his public image. In his later years, Granger embraced his identity more openly, acknowledging the difficult compromises he made early in his career. Granger's story sheds light on the complex personal choices that many LGBTQ+ actors of his time had to make, balancing public personas with private realities. Despite the secrecy and struggles, Granger's talent as an actor and his eventual honesty about his identity have ensured his place in Hollywood's storied past. Number 20, Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge was one of Hollywood's most pioneering actresses, known for her dazzling performances in films like Carmen Jones and Porgy and Bess. She broke new ground as an African-American actress in a time when racial barriers in Hollywood were deeply entrenched. However, her career was not only marked by her groundbreaking roles, but also by the complicated and often painful realities of her personal life, including her relationships with both men and women. Dandridge's romantic entanglements were the subject of intense speculation. She was married twice, but rumors about her relationships with women have also persisted. Her close friendship with actress and singer Juanita Moore led to speculation that the two may have been romantically involved, though no direct evidence has ever surfaced. At the time, being open about one's sexuality, especially for black women in Hollywood, was not an option. And the intense scrutiny of Dandridge's life made it even harder for her to live authentically. Her tumultuous marriage to Harold Nicholas, a member of the famous Nicholas Brothers dance duo, ended in divorce, and many have suggested that Dandridge's struggles with her love life, combined with the racial discrimination she faced, contributed to her eventual decline. Despite her challenges, Dandridge's impact on Hollywood is undeniable. Her beauty, grace, and talent paved the way for other black actresses, and she remains a symbol of strength in an industry that often sought to marginalize and control the identities of its stars. Number 21, Paul Lynde. Paul Lynde, known for his sharp wit and memorable comedic style, was one of Hollywood's most iconic television personalities in the 1960s and 70s. He was a familiar face on game shows like Hollywood Squares.
Gift for a nun.
A carton of cigarettes.
And in films such as Bye Bye Birdie.
What would I wear?
Gee, Ed Sullivan.
With his trademark sardonic humor and campy persona, Lynde became a beloved figure, often cast as the sarcastic, flamboyant sidekick. But behind the scenes, his true sexual orientation remained a closely guarded secret, even though many in Hollywood knew. Lynde's homosexuality was never publicly acknowledged during his lifetime, and his flamboyant public persona often served as a camouflage for his private life. In an era where being openly could destroy a career, Lind chose to keep his personal identity under wraps, while his humor hinted at a more complex reality. His sexual orientation was well known within Hollywood circles, and he had relationships with men, but due to the pressures of the time, he never confirmed these publicly. Despite his secrecy, Linda's witty, bold, and often overtly camp performances resonated with audiences, even though mainstream America may have missed the cues. His public persona, dripping with innuendo, was a subtle way of living his truth within the confines of Hollywood's rigid norms. Tragically, Linda's health declined, and his sudden death in 1982 was a shock to fans. However, in the years following his death, more light was shed on his sexuality, and he became a figure who many in the LGBTQ+ community look back on with both admiration and sorrow. Linda's legacy is a reminder of the challenges that queer entertainers faced in maintaining a public persona while navigating a repressive industry. Number 22. Liberace. Liberace was the flamboyant, dazzling piano virtuoso who reigned over the entertainment world with his extravagant performances, glittering costumes, and diamond-studded pianos. His showmanship and larger-than-life personality made him one of the most beloved celebrities of the 1950s and 60s, with a career that spanned decades. He was known for his colorful personality, elaborate stage outfits, and penchant for luxury. Yet behind the opulence and glitter, Liberace was hiding a secret: sexuality. For years, the public believed that Liberace was straight, and he worked tirelessly to maintain this illusion. His love for flashy feminine outfits and extravagant jewelry were seen as part of his act, and his relationships with women were fabricated by his PR team to keep up the public facade.
And my favorite girl, the prettiest girl of them all.
In a time when homosexuality was still stigmatized, especially in the public eye, Liberace was under immense pressure to remain closeted. He even went so far as to sue a British tabloid in 1959 for calling him. Though many speculated that his was an open secret in Hollywood, it wasn't until after his death in 1987
Liberace died at his Palm Springs home Wednesday
that the full extent of Liberace's private life came to light. His longtime lover, Scott Thorson, revealed details of their relationship in the book Behind the Candelabra, which was later adapted into a film starring Matt Damon and Michael Douglas. Despite his closeness with men, Liberace never publicly acknowledged his sexuality, and his carefully curated public image continued until his passing. His story highlights the intense pressure on entertainers to hide their true selves, especially those who defied traditional norms like Liberace did with his flamboyant style and behavior. Despite the secrecy, Liberace's legacy remains as one of the most colorful and influential performers of his time. Number 23. Richard Chamberlain. Richard Chamberlain, a handsome and versatile actor, became a household name with his roles in Dr. Kildare and Shogun, where he portrayed everything from a compassionate doctor to a swashbuckling adventurer.
I told you then, I'm telling you now.
His good looks and charm made him a heartthrob in the 1960s and 70s, and his star was on the rise, but his personal life was far more complicated. For years, Chamberlain kept sexuality under wraps, with rumors swirling but no confirmations. He was the quintessential heartthrob and a symbol of masculinity, and he knew that coming out would be career side. Chamberlain, however, wasn't just a pretty face. He was a talented actor, and his success was hard-earned. He was fiercely private about his life, but Hollywood's gossip columns were rife with speculation about sexuality. The actor had several relationships with men during his life, including one with fellow actor Jonathan Haytery, but his personal life was kept tightly sealed, and he continued to maintain the image of a straight leading man throughout much of his career. In 2003, after decades of speculation, Chamberlain came out in an interview with the National Enquirer. He admitted to having relationships with men, stating that he had been in love with a few men during his life.
At this point, Martin and my relationship has been 26 years. And it's just keeps growing and keeps getting better.
His decision to come out at that point in his career was monumental, as he had already stepped away from Hollywood's spotlight. Chamberlain's revelation was met with support from many in the LQB+ community in Hollywood, though the fear of being marginalized had kept him silent for so long. Despite the challenges of living a double life, Chamberlain's legacy is one of bravery and acceptance, showing that even the most revered actors had to fight for the freedom to be their true selves. Number 24, Clark Gable. Clark Gable, often referred to as the King of Hollywood, was a larger-than-life figure in the golden age of film. With his rugged charm, deep voice,
You'll never mean anything but misery to any man.
and dashing good looks, Gable captivated audiences in films like Gone with the Wind and It Happened One Night. He became one of the biggest box office draws of the era, and his image as the quintessential masculine leading man was solidified in Hollywood lore. However, Gable's personal life, particularly his sexual orientation, is a topic that remains the subject of speculation. Although Gable was married 5 times and had relationships with many women, rumors have long circulated about his sexuality. Some have suggested that Gable may have had same-sex relationships as well, though there is no definitive evidence to support these claims. It's important to note that in Hollywood during Gable's time, stars had to carefully manage their public personas, especially when it came to their private lives. Hollywood's studio system was notorious for controlling its stars' images and orchestrating their personal lives, including whom they were allowed to date or marry. This made it difficult for actors like Gable to live authentically without facing severe repercussions for deviating from the expected norms. While there's no conclusive proof about Gable's sexual orientation, it is known that he had close friendships with several men, including fellow actor William Haynes, who was openly gay. It's possible that Gable's relationships with these men were purely platonic, or perhaps more intimate. There remains a mystery surrounding his private life. Gable's legacy as a charismatic masculine figure in Hollywood history is secure, but his personal life, like many stars of his time, remains an intriguing puzzle.
Thanks and sincere gratitude.
Number 25, Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster, a brilliant actress who rose to fame at a young age with performances in Taxi Driver and The Silence of the Lambs, has been a Hollywood icon for decades. Known for her intelligence, depth, and raw talent,
She doesn't mean that.
Foster has portrayed a wide range of roles with grace and authenticity. But while her career has been a triumph, her personal life has often been more closely scrutinized. For many years, the actress kept her sexuality private, with rumors and speculation swirling around her. Foster's decision to remain quiet about her sexual orientation became a topic of public interest for years.
Do you have a steady boyfriend?
No. No. I don't have time. And I suppose I don't think about it very much.
Some speculated she was gay, but she remained silent, never publicly addressing the rumors. It wasn't until 2013 at the Golden Globe Awards that Foster made her first public acknowledgement of her sexuality.
But more than anyone else, I share my most special memories with the members of the crew. Blood-shaking friendships, brothers and sisters. We made movies together. I guess I just have a sudden urge to say something never really been able to air in public, so declaration that I'm a little nervous about. But I'm just gonna put it out there, right? Loud and proud, right? I am single.
While receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award, Foster gave an emotional speech in which she subtly came out, thanking her longtime partner and acknowledging her role as a mother to her children.
So proud of our modern family, our amazing sons, Charlie and Kit, who are my reason to breathe and to evolve.
It was a deeply personal and empowering moment for the actress, who had long been under pressure to define her identity in the eyes of the public. Since then, Foster has continued to live her life on her own terms, embracing her privacy while continuing to be an outspoken advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. Her decision to come out was significant, not just for her, but for other actors and public figures who had been reluctant to do the same. In her case, being open about her sexuality didn't define her career. She remained an enduring talent in Hollywood, earning the respect of both her peers and audiences for her authenticity, talent, and dedication. Number 26, Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich, a dazzling German-American actress, singer, and fashion icon, was one of the most alluring and unconventional stars of the 20th century. With her androgynous beauty and unapologetic sensuality, Dietrich redefined femininity in Hollywood, becoming a global icon. Her roles in films like The Blue Angel and Shanghai Express made her a star, but her bold personality and defiance of societal norms made her a true trailblazer. Dietrich's personal life, however, was just as daring as her on-screen persona, particularly regarding her sexual orientation. Dietrich was known to have had romantic relationships with both men and women, including affairs with fellow stars like John Wayne, Gary Cooper, and women such as the French actress Dolores Del Rio. Dietrich never publicly acknowledged her bisexuality, but rumors about her relationships with women have been well documented. In an era when Hollywood was still very much defined by traditional gender roles and sexual mores, Dietrich's willingness to embrace her desires, regardless of gender, was revolutionary. She was an early pioneer in blurring the lines between masculinity and femininity, both in her fashion choices and personal life. Her bold fashion choices, such as wearing trousers, tailored suits, and androgynous outfits, challenged traditional gender roles and helped to pave the way for women in Hollywood to express themselves more freely. Dietrich, who had strong views about gender and defied the norms of the time by living life on her own terms, refusing to be confined to the roles society wanted to assign her. Despite her public image as a glamorous star, Dietrich's private life was marked by secrecy and mystery. She was one of the first to truly challenge the status quo in terms of gender roles and sexuality, cementing her legacy as a pioneer not only in Hollywood, but in cultural history. Number 27. Ramon Novarro. Ramon Novarro, a heartthrob of the silent film era, remains one of Hollywood's most enigmatic and tragic figures. Known for his intense, brooding good looks and star power in films like Ben-Hur, 1925, Novarro was one of the biggest box office stars of the 1920s and early 1930s. He was Mexico-born, a Latin beauty who enchanted American audiences with his exotic charm, but behind his public image was a deeply private man who lived a secret life. Novarro's life, unlike many of his peers, was shrouded in scandal and sorrow after the end of his glory days in Hollywood. Novarro's sexual orientation was long suspected by those in the industry, though it remained largely unspoken. In an era when openly gay actors faced career-ending consequences, Novarro, like many stars of his time, kept his relationships and desires private. He was known to have had affairs with men, though he never publicly came out, and his sexuality remained a closely guarded secret during his life. He even endured what some speculate was a romantic relationship with a male co-star, but these facts were never confirmed in the public eye. His secret life, combined with his growing distance from the Hollywood elite, kept him on the periphery of the industry for years. However, Novarro's life took a tragic turn when he became the victim of a brutal murder in 1968. Two brothers broke into his Los Angeles home intending to rob him, but when they found Novarro in bed, they attacked him, beating him to death. The murder was not only horrifying, but also brought media attention to his private life, including the fact that Novarro was a gay man living alone. Despite the fact that he had been a star, the tragedy surrounding his death, linked to his cast a long shadow on his legacy. Number 28. Joan Fontaine. Joan Fontaine, a gifted actress whose striking beauty and talent made her one of Hollywood's leading ladies, was known for her versatile performances and her captivating screen presence.
I have no tired or vexed note to leave. Oh, in this moon-cut earth to lie. Oh, if they would not grieve, I have tonight a quiet desire.
Born in Japan to American parents, Fontaine made her mark in classic films like Rebecca, 1940, and Suspicion, 1941, earning an Academy Award for the latter. While Fontaine was married several times and her romantic life was often the subject of public speculation, there were also whispers about her relationships with women, which she never openly confirmed. Fontaine's personal life was often portrayed as tumultuous, particularly her strained relationship with her sister, Olivia de Havilland, also a famed actress. Yet beyond her public disputes and love affairs with men, there are hints that Fontaine may have had romantic relationships with women. Fontaine was reportedly very private, and though she rarely spoke about her personal life, some rumors persist about her friendships with female actresses and high society women, suggesting that she may have been bisexual or at least open to relationships with women. Given the strict societal norms of the time, especially in Hollywood, many stars like Fontaine had to remain silent about their sexual identities. The industry's power to shape and control the images of its leading actors was immense, and for female stars especially, there was immense pressure to uphold a wholesome or conventional image. While Fontaine kept the details of her sexual life private, It has been said that she was not averse to having romantic entanglements with both men and women during her years in the spotlight. Number 29, Mae West. Mae West, one of Hollywood's most iconic sex symbols and comedic actresses, was known for her sharp wit, unapologetic confidence, and her ability to break social norms with a wink and a smirk. Rising to fame in the 1930s with films like She Done Him Wrong and I'm No Angel, West's persona was built around her provocative humor, often pushing the boundaries of what was considered acceptable in Hollywood's golden age. Her famous one-liners, such as, "Is that a gun in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?" became legendary, cementing her status as an outspoken, independent woman in a male-dominated industry. While West was often portrayed as a man-crazy vamp on screen, her personal life was much more complex, and her sexuality has long been a subject of speculation. West was known to be a very open-minded and progressive person for her time, especially when it came to matters of sex and relationships. Though she had romantic relationships with men, some biographers and historians have suggested that West may have been bisexual, engaging in relationships with women as well. Her strong support for gay rights, as well as her close relationships with LGBTQ+ individuals, fueled rumors about her own possible fluid. West's stage and screen personas were groundbreaking in their challenge to gender norms and taboos. She didn't shy away from playing powerful, liberated women, roles that were rare at the time. She even wrote many of her own scripts, which allowed her to craft characters that were bold, witty, and confident. Her 1926 play, The which featured openly characters and tackled the subject of sexuality, was banned at the time, but showed her progressive views on. Number 30, Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead, a firecracker of the stage and screen, was famous for her larger-than-life personality, quick wit, and uninhibited lifestyle. Known for her deep, husky voice and commanding presence, Bankhead became a star, both on Broadway and in Hollywood, with her most notable roles in plays like The Little Foxes and films such as Lifeboat. However, beyond her career, Bankhead was equally famous for her wild personal life, filled with shocking stories, romantic affairs, and an unflinching honesty about her sex exploits. Unlike many stars of her time, Bankhead was unapologetic about her bisexuality, making her one of the most openly queer figures in Hollywood's golden age. She was known to have had relationships with both men and women, including rumored affairs with actresses like Greta Garbo and Marlene Dietrich. Bankhead's attitude toward was refreshingly candid. She once quipped, "My father warned me about men and alcohol, but he never said anything about women and," encapsulating her devil-may-care approach to life. Bankhead's wasn't just a part of her personal life, it also became a part of her public persona. She was outspoken about her desires and frequently flaunted her disregard for societal norms, making her a trailblazer in terms of sexual liberation. While Hollywood during her era was notoriously conservative, Bankhead refused to hide who she was, often making jokes about her relationships with women and embracing her image as a sexually liberated woman. In an industry where most stars were carefully managed to present a clean, traditional image, Bankhead's refusal to conform made her a singular force in entertainment.